I'm TK422, one half of Two Kept Mandalorians.
And I'm TK420, the other half of Two Kept Mandalorians.
And this is
YouTube D2.
So we both watched Chapter 4, Sanctuary, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who I don't know if she's directed anything before. We all know her as an actress, as the star of The Village and Jurassic World, daughter of Ron Howard. And I want to say, first and foremost, she did a fantastic job directing.
I think so too.
Yeah. I hope that she's given more work to do in the series going forward.
Yep.
So the story picks up where the last one left off, the Mando and the baby Yoda, the child, the asset. So they were on their way back. They're on their way to find a sanctuary planet.
Yeah.
Yoda likes to touch buttons.
Mando my God. Like yeah. They started rocking out.
Yep. And then they find this planet. I can't remember the name of it, but they decide, yeah, that's a backwater planet. Nothing's on there. So let's go.
Micronesia.
Anyway, they get there. I can't do this.
Sorry.
I can't do this.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I am the great derailer. So they got to the sanctuary planet. We knew a little bit about the sanctuary planet before they got there, because they showed a very peaceful little shrimp harvesting village that harvested blue glowy shrimp, big blue glowy shrimp from ponds, and
we know they're peaceful because they like shrimp.
Well, yeah. I mean, I never knew anybody really violent who liked shrimp, so that goes. Yeah. That works.
They chase frogs around without eating them.
Right. Yep. Well, anyway, so they're sitting there just minding their own business. And suddenly, the Uruk-hai attack.
Don't make up words.
That's not a made-up word.
But it's made up for Star Wars.
Yeah, but they look like Uruk-hai.
So
they were orcs from Moria.
They actually look a lot like the creatures from the Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
Oh, okay.
Which is the movie that this reminds me of the most.
Yeah.
Because it has it doesn't quite look like Return of the Jedi, but it's got the ATST, which wasn't really in there, but it's in the background.
Threw that out there right away.
Everybody knows, dude. We're posting this review days after it's been on.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
anyway,
it's
got that. It's also got wait. So it's got that, and it's got the guys that you're talking about, which they look like kind of the guys from the movie, and it all takes place on a forest land that looks a lot like Endor. So now what were you saying?
But they're not on Endor.
No.
Okay, so
there's a lot of that in Star Wars. That's a small complaint I want to make, is that they have planets that look very much like the planets we've already been on, but they always give them a new name instead of just setting it on the familiar planet because it looks like it.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many
billions
types of planets out there.
No, there's lots.
Well, sure, but a lot of them are going to have trees and bushes.
A lot of them are going to have purple flying mushrooms, but we don't see any of those.
Yeah, you have to watch Rick and Morty for that.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
So this battle happens, and like these orcs come in and they smash shit and blow shit up, and I think they kill a couple people, maybe. And then they one of them steals a basket of shrimp.
Really?
Yeah, he picked up, he's looking around, and then he just picks up the basket of shrimp and starts running off with it.
Would have been a great shrimp commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, for like Sea Island or something. But So they steal a bunch of shit, and the woman realizes that she doesn't have time to run away. So she and her daughter hide under a basket in the water like Moses. And
So instead of dropping all these random biblical references and just enraging the populace, you could just mention that it looks a lot like an Akira Kurosawa movie, and it's very similar to the Seven Samurai in plot and construction.
I could have said it that way. And they land on the planet thinking, okay, this is great. And he's like, okay, I'll go find some lodging for us. You stay here. Stay.
Like he's a dog.
Yeah.
And you know,
Well,
I'm glad he didn't leave him, because you could tell that Yoda was going to get into everything.
yeah, he would have done worse to that ship than the Jawas did.
Yeah. So he takes him along, and we find out that baby Yoda can walk already. Well, 50 years old, he should be able to walk.
Yeah, he should be able to walk. He's 50.
So they're walking.
So they're walking. They
find a little restaurant, an outdoor restaurant.
Yeah, that serves a lot of soup, apparently.
Yeah, bone broth.
Bone broth. Bone broth.
We spot a former shock trooper who's
a sexy shock trooper.
She is attractive.
She's sexy.
And she's big. I mean, when I say she's big, I mean she looks like she could kick your ass. Yeah. So her name is Cara Dune. He sees her sitting there, and he
asks the waitress.
He asks the waitress about her. Waitress says she's been there about a week, so he goes to follow her when he sees she's gone, and they end up in a fight. Favorite,
she does almost kick his ass.
She kicks his ass hardcore, man. She would have killed him if.
You think so?
I think so. If Baby Yoda hadn't showed up with his soup.
Yeah, that was great. He just sit there.
and then Mando's like, you want some soup? So they're on their first date or whatever, and they're talking about their history, and then we get to learn a little bit about what's happened to the galaxy since Return of the Jedi. She was hired as a peacekeeper, and she didn't really want to be a peacekeeper. She's adrenaline junkie.
She was a shock trooper, adrenaline junkie, and I don't think she was hired as. I think they deployed them out as peacekeepers before the Empire.
Her first job was to just seek out and hunt ex-Imperials and kind of bring them to justice. And once that was all finished, there was nothing left for her to do. So she became a peacekeeper, which she
didn't sign up for. She wanted to kick ass and take names.
So the thing about this is we kind of know that she's. We know that she's wanted for something because she sees the Mando and assumes that he's there to take her in. That's why she's fighting.
And he never could have.
No. Well, even if he was said to take her in, he would have lost his life in the attempt.
Yeah.
So basically, she tells him to get off the planet because it's hers. They don't want. She doesn't want two wanted people on the planet because then it exponentially makes it harder for her to avoid detection. So right. She says, get off the planet, find your own place. And he's about to do that when he's hired by these farmers to kind of giving him free lodging with the baby. Reluctantly with the baby, he agrees to live on a farm with these people and protect them. He thinks he's going to be protecting them from, bandits or whatever. And he hires Cara Dune to help him. Says, hey, this is some free lodging. Easy job, you can make short work of whatever problem these guys are having. So, but then when they do a little investigating, they realize this is not what they thought they were signing up for. There's
they went to go and kind of flush them out.
Yeah, and it's an ATST that they discover is available to the enemy, and I love the Mando has to break the news to them, and he just flat out comes out and says, "You guys got to move."
Yeah,
you guys got to move, man. This ain't working. And then Kara's like, "Nice bedside manner."
Yeah, exactly.
So she explains.
Well, at least she's a little bit softer,
Yeah, she explains to them that there's a lot going on here, and the two of them cannot protect them against an Imperial Walker and all that. But then it becomes a situation where they've basically been farming this land for their whole lives. They're not going about to just give it up. Generations. So finally, they do decide to train them to fight. There's a great battle with the ATST. It's probably one of the better moments of the show. I always
very good battle. I mean, they had to train up all of the villagers on how to shoot and how.
My only minor complaint there is that we've kind of seen stuff like this already been done in the Clone Wars. Not with an ATST, but the training of the villagers to protect their farmland kind of thing.
That's a pretty common trope in this kind of story.
Yeah, samurai stuff. No, it's good. It's just a small complaint because when I saw it and saw another ATST, I love the ATSTs, the AT-ATs, but I feel there's something.
ATSTs are not AT-ATs.
I know. I'm saying the ATSTs and the AT-ATs. I like them both. One thing I miss when seeing Empire Strikes Back was the shock of seeing this new device that we'd never seen before. I kind of wish that they, as much as I love seeing those things come up again, and they should come up again because they're part of the story and they're part of the whole ethos, they would still be there. But I kind of want to see a
separatist tank.
I would kind of like to see something.
Tank.
I'd kind of like to see something different. That's all I'm saying.
Because you got to imagine that there are probably thousands of like separatist hover tanks that are still in operation around the galaxy.
One thing that I really like is the fact that we're seeing elements from the prequel trilogy kind of bleed in just on the margins here. We see a battle droid in one sequence in an earlier episode. We see, stuff like that. So it doesn't feel like everything, that tech would still be around. It would be less used because it's not the newest tech, but it would still be here and there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're still doing that. And like I said, my complaint about the ATST is a small one. It looks really cool. The red glowing eyes was kind of neat. And it looks really formidable to be looking up at it from, ground level, kind of like in Rogue One. The battle is won, and then he toys with the idea of leaving Baby Yoda behind.
Yeah.
Which is the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like when he was going to do that, I thought, well, that's reasonable, but
then we find out that it wouldn't be because
there is a sniper bounty hunter that use a tracking fob to find the planet.
We have to assume at this point that Baby Yoda, the asset, since we don't have a real name for him yet, has some kind of implant in him.
Yeah,
because they weren't tracking the bassinet because the bassinet was thrown away. They weren't tracking anything on him because Mando would have felt it when he picked them up. So he has to have something implanted in his body.
Yeah.
Which means,
and it seems like that's the case with the bounty hunters as well, because they tracked Mando as well.
They weren't tracking Mando; they were tracking the baby.
No, I mean after he blasted his way out of the. Oh, you think they were tracking the baby? Not
they were tracking
Mando.
The baby, not
okay.
Mando. They just knew Mando had the baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, anything you want to add? Anything that we learned about the galaxy?
Well, okay, so we see a bit.
I don't want to
bit of tenderness in the episode as far as the Mando. Now, there's a lot going around about removal of helmets and things. There's been so many. I've been watching a lot of the YouTube channels, and they're all talking about, well, there's discontinuity in the storylines and blah blah blah. No. What it is, in my humble opinion, is that different tribes of the Mandalorians, they were scattered, of course. So different tribes held to different standards. This tribe holds to the standard of you never, ever take it off, and you can't put it back on if you do. Like the ones that we're seen in Clone Wars and
we've seen Mandalorians without their helmets on all the time.
They probably were members of tribes that it was not as that wasn't as important to them. But this group, they're like a group of like
they're very tribal, almost. I wouldn't want to say cult like, because
what I thought it was like that they were more like a for lack of better terms, a paladin group of Mandalorians, where they hold their sacred truths, and they hold their beliefs, because they always say this is the way, and then this is the way. And so it's almost as if they're like almost a religious sect within the Mandalorian,
a more conservative.
Yeah, like seriously.
Like the usual Mandalorian might wear his helmet sometimes, or when he's off doing. But there's a practical reason to never take your helmet off too, because you don't want to reveal yourself and be hunted, and you don't want to expose your other Mandalorians either. Part of their thing is probably the anonymity.
Right, and they were talking about how there can only ever be one above ground, and we still don't know. Okay, so they broke
not anymore though. Now that
they broke that tradition when they all came up and fought for Din, and so now I mean, obviously, like he said, they're gonna have to move their group to somewhere else. But I just think that this is, like you said, much more conservative, I think more Mandalorian religion-based honor tribe, and that's why I think that they have that value. But so he takes.
But we also know that he was not a born Mandalorian, so he probably is more strict with himself about that helmet than maybe even they would be, because he wants to fit in with them.
Yeah. Well, he does remove his helmet in the episode. Eat the window is wide open,
and the kids can see him if they were to look.
Right. So he takes off his helmet in a very conspicuous, but
that's probably his first move. He's probably testing the waters. He's not ready to do it in front of her, but he can do it in front of these kids, because what are the kids going to say?
And,
we saw what he looked like.
I honestly think that he's going to keep to his traditions. I think that
I hope
he's going to struggle with that. Well, I think he's going to struggle with that for a while.
I hope that this show is about shedding tradition, because I've always held to the belief that tradition is peer pressure from dead people.
Yeah.
So I hope that it seems to be not really. It seems to be analyzing the tendency to do that and dismantling it slowly.
Yeah,
so
I think he's going to struggle with it. I don't think maybe in the very last episode of this season, maybe he'll remove his helmet, and that'll be like the cliffhanger or whatever. But I have a feeling that the reason he's going to remove his helmet is out of some kind of relationship that he builds. And that's my speculation. Is
well,
that
he's now
his helmet
he's now rejected any possible relationship with the woman on the planet there. So
but what about Kara?
He could with Kara, but I don't know. I think that might stay professional.
She's his style.
She is. But I don't know. Are they more friends? Are they more? More?
Well, they're colleagues right now, but that can change. And she's dead sexy and probably wants to find out if he is.
I gotta say, man, wearing that outfit all the time, you can't smell all that good.
No, I've been just wearing this for a day and I smell pretty bad.
Oh man, well, he's probably just blaming it on Baby Yoda.
Yeah, it's the child.
It's the child. So press play from me. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, not really. Press play for me too. I just had to touch on that whole helmet thing, because there's so much controversy out there over him removing his helmet.